Good evening, yogis. My name is Daniel. This is the Daniel Lee Yoga YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in tonight for practice. Before we get started, I want to apologize for anyone that was on the stream yesterday evening, our normally scheduled time, which is Monday at 7 p.m. I totally forgot to start the stream. I did the whole class and didn't realize until afterwards that I didn't start the stream. So I'm back to taking extra precautions this week to make sure that the stream looks good, audio sounds good, all that jazz before we get into it too much. So if you are watching, if you're able to leave a comment on there just to confirm that you can see me and that everything's good, then that's great. I'm going to check on my laptop as well just to make sure from there that that looks good. Yeah, so just leave a comment if you can. I'm just going to go through a couple notes before we get started as well. We have Coney here. He is on my notebook, so I'm just going to move this out of the way. But tonight we have a fundamental focus class. And for fundamentals, it's a little more gentle. If you're a beginner, you'll be right at home. We're going to take more time breaking down poses. Um, Thank you for checking in. Yes, you got someone saying hi to you, Coney. Um, so yeah, we're going to break things down a little bit more in fundamentals. And even if you're a more intermediate or advanced practitioner, it's always good to go back to the basics. It's going to prepare us more for what's coming later down this week for our Wednesday and Friday class. So this is a vinyasa, more of a flow class. It's 60 minutes, and what we're going to work on are our hips, our external rotation, our opening our shoulders and our chest. We're going to work into binds, and we're just going to have a lot of fun doing that tonight. So if you do have a strap, I know I left a comment there, but if you do have a strap, go ahead and have that nearby. If you don't have a strap, I'm just using a belt today. I don't have my strap with me, so a belt works fine. If you have just like a towel or an old shirt, even like something from your bathrobe, you can use that as well. We'll definitely be using that tonight. If you have blocks, have them nearby. They're not going to be as crucial tonight, but they're just good to have in general. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, so we're at the beach again. I'm just calling this Paradise Beach. I actually don't know exactly where this beach is, but I thought it was very fitting because the pose that we're working towards later this week is called Bird of Paradise, and it just looked like a nice, cozy Paradise Beach spot. So if anyone knows actually where this is or can identify this, I'll be impressed. Let me know. Otherwise, what else we got here, Coney? Oh yes, donation link is always in the video description if you'd like to donate to Movable Feast. They're a Baltimore-based organization. Other than that, I think that's it. So yes, the stream looks good. Thank you for checking in. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna get started in a cross-legged seated position. So legs are crossed right about at your shins, and you're just gently gonna root your sit bones down to the ground. Now, if you ever have any issues sitting like this, you can always sit up on something. So again, if you do have blocks, you can sit up on a block. Just place that underneath you. If you have your towel, you can sit on that. If you have your mat, you can roll that up. Just if you have issues, if you feel like you're rolling back too much, propping yourself up on something gives you a little bit more elevation. It helps you root down and lengthen through the crown of your spine, sit a little more comfortably. So we're all sitting in a nice, comfortable seated position. Place your hands on top of your knees. Let's all take a deep inhale together and exhale. And one more inhale and exhale. All right, so grab your strap. And we're already going to just go ahead and start using this. So I want you to grab your strap in both hands. And you want your strap to start about shoulder width distance. So your strap is about the width of your shoulder. If you hold your arms out, it's about shoulder width distance there. So once you have that, extend both arms out. You're just lightly grasping the strap with both hands. We're going to inhale as we raise our arms up overhead and exhale as we release back down. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, release back down all the way to the knees. We're just inhaling as we lift and exhale as you release. Just keep going on your breath. Again, your arms may not come completely overhead, just going up to your capacity. Just beginning by waking up these shoulder blades and shoulder sockets here. Let's do 2 more. Inhaling as you raise, exhaling as you lower. 1 more inhale. And exhale as you lower. Okay, so now extend your arms back straight out. Inhale as you lift up. And now with your arms here, be mindful of where your head is between both biceps. We're going to add a little side lean now. What I want you to do is move as one whole unit. So when we lean to the side, I don't want you to move your arms first and then your head. I want you to move all at one unit. So root down through your sit bones, rise up through the crown of your head, lift your arms up, and inhale as you gently lean to your right. So leaning to your right, again, trying to keep your head equally in between both biceps. And let's inhale as you raise back up to center. Exhale as we lean to the opposite side, left side this time. And inhale back up to center. Exhale to the right. And inhale back to center. Exhale to the left. And inhale back to center. Keep going on your breath. Let's do each side 2 more times. Again, the idea here is to try and move as one unit, keeping both sides of the body lengthened. Again, you don't want to move down to where your sit bone comes up, so if you're going a little too far, just reduce how much you're leaning here. After you finish that last one, come back to center and release your arms down. Release the strap out of your hands just for a moment. Just go ahead and shake your shoulder blades up and back. And then switch directions, shoulder blades back and forward. Okay, go ahead and grab that strap again. This time we're going to add a twist. So again, grab about shoulder width distance. Once you have that, raise your strap up overhead, just to your capacity. Inhale as you lengthen through the crown, raising the arms up. And exhale as you twist to your right. Again, twisting as one unit here. Inhale back to center. And exhale, twists to your left. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, twist to your left. You may gently pull the arms away from each other as you keep going back and forth. That'll kind of help to engage the arms and keep them a little straighter as you're rotating back and forth. Keep going on your breath. Inhaling back to center. Exhaling as you twist. Go ahead and do 1 more time each side. Just on your breath. Once you come back to center, release your arms down. Release the strap off to the side. Just keep it nearby. We'll come back to that a little later. Okay, so now we're going to learn internal and external rotations. So some of you may be familiar with this and may be new to others. But it's really important to know the internal and external rotation at different sockets in your body, because it's really going to be important when we're doing some binds this week. So we're really going to be focusing on the shoulder socket here with the internal and external rotation. So let's practice together. So let's extend both arms out, palms face down. And we're going to internally rotate. So in order to internally rotate from that shoulder socket, our thumbs are going to come down, our palms face back. Again, we're trying to rotate the entire arm at once. And just release that, come back to neutral position with your palms facing down. Okay, now we're going to reverse that. So now externally rotate, thumbs come up and back, palms face up. Now we have external rotation, the opposite. Release back down to neutral with the palms face down. Internally rotate, thumbs come down, palms face back. And gently release back to neutral. And externally rotate, thumbs come up and back, palms face up. Gently release back to neutral and release both arms down to the sides. Okay, go ahead and shake those arms up and back. Just shake them out a little bit again. Okay, so we did internal and external rotation at the shoulder socket. Now we're going to do internal and external rotation at the hip socket. So we're coming into bear sit. So place your hands behind you with your fingers still facing forward. So arms are just an inch or two behind you. Once you have that, extend both legs out in front of you. Got Oliver right here. Sorry, Oliver. Okay, both legs out in front of you. Keep your knees bent. And your heels are going to be about shoulder width distance, maybe a little bit wider to start. So heels are pressing down, your feet are flexing so that your toes are facing up. Toes are really coming back toward your face. That's going to start to engage the muscles in your legs. So again, you're gently pressing down through the hands, pressing down through the heels. Let's internally rotate from deep within this hip socket. So in order to internally rotate, we're going to draw our knees together. Try and move the legs all as one unit together. Gently release that back to neutral. And now externally rotate, the knees separate out from each other. Just going out to your capacity. Coming back to neutral position. Internally rotate. If you internally rotate and the knees come to touch, just separate your feet out slightly. And then externally rotate so that the knees fall away from each other. Let's internally rotate. Knees come towards each other. And externally rotate, knees separate. Just do one more time, each way. Internal rotation. And external rotation at that hip socket. Okay, bring your knees back to neutral. Press yourself back up. And we're going to come into a tabletop position. So in tabletop, our arms are going to be below our shoulders and our knees underneath our hips. So meet me whatever way works for you. And in our tabletop, again, your hands are beneath your shoulders, so your hands are shoulder width distance, and your knees are hips width distance with the tops of your feet to the ground. Now keep an eye on your wrist creases. The wrist creases of your hands, they should be lined up with the short edge, the top edge of your mat here, or they can be slightly turned out. So we don't want them turned in, we want them turned out slightly, or just lined up parallel with the short edge of your mat. Just be mindful of that. Have your fingers spread apart, tops of the toes to the ground. Gently hug your navel in and up, just so you can have a nice neutral spine here. This is where we always start in our tabletop here. So we're going to bring some movement into our tabletop. We're going to do some cow cats. So starting with cow, we're going to let our navel drop. We're going to send our heart forward. We're arching our back, and now we're lifting our head, looking up. Cow. Let's reverse that. Exhale as we round our back. Navel draws in and up. Shoulders separate. Head falls and hangs heavy. Reversing that back into cow. Arching the back. Sending the heart forward. Look up. And exhale, we're going to round into cat. Rounding the back. Shoulders separate. Head hangs heavy. Let's do 2 more times on your breath. Inhaling, arching the back. Sending the heart forward into cow. Exhale, rounding the back into your cat. Keep going 1 more time, each side. Arching the back as you look up into cow. And last, rounding into cat, rounding that back. Nice and slow. And just gently release back to neutral position in our tabletop. Now, we're going to release down to our forearms. So, you're going to release down to one forearm and then the other. And we're still in our forearm tabletop here, but now your elbows are beneath your shoulders here. So with your elbows beneath your shoulders, your palms are pressing down. Those are shoulder width distance as well, just straight out. And again, just try and line those elbows right underneath the shoulders. Okay, so from here, we're going to work our internal and external rotation of our arms again. So we're going to start by extending our right arm out, right palm faces down. Once you have this, you're going to internally rotate so that thumb comes down, that right palm faces up. Once you have that, you're going to bend that right elbow. See if you can place the back of that right hand on your lower back. Stay here for a breath. And exhale. Now let's extend that right arm. Revolve it back to neutral position. And release that right forearm down to meet the left. So we're going to switch to the other side. So extending that left arm out, left palm faces down. Internally rotate, left palm faces down. Now the left palm faces up. Bend that left elbow, release the back of that left palm on your lower back. Staying here again for 1 breath. And exhale as you straighten that left arm. Revolve back to palm face down. Bring that left arm forward. Release that left palm back down to the ground. Okay, let's bring our legs to the party now. So you're still on your forearm tabletop. Let's curl our right toes under and extend and straighten that right leg back. Your right toes may come back. So we're straightening that right leg with the right toes facing under. Try not to let your head hang heavy in this. Try to just actively keep it up and nice and elongated. You can slightly tuck your chin. Gaze might be between both your wrists. So with that right leg stretched back, press through the back right heel. Stay for 1 more breath. And exhale, gently release that right knee to meet the left where we started. Top of that right foot comes to the ground. Let's switch to the other side. So now we're going to curl our left toe under as we extend our left leg back. So now our left leg straightens. We're actively pressing back through that left heel. Again, don't let that head hang heavy. See if you can slightly tuck the chin. Keep it up. Staying for 1 more breath. And exhale, gently bending that left knee, releasing it back down to the ground. Top of that left foot comes to the mat. So we're going to combine the last 2 things that we did together with the arm rotations and extension of the legs. Okay, so let's start. Extend that right arm out just as we had before. We're going to internally rotate, thumb comes down, thumb comes back, right palm faces up. Bend that right elbow, release the back of that right hand to the lower back. Once you have this, then you're going to curl your left toes under, so your opposite leg. Straighten that left leg back. Then you're going to press that left heel back. Try to brawn through your collarbones. Stay here for a breath. And exhale. Now you can stay here, or if you'd like, you can add a little twist. So if you'd like to add the twist, you can raise and start to open that right shoulder blade up. You're starting to look up towards the ceiling. Trying to stack that right shoulder blade on top of the left. Stay for 1 more breath. And exhale, gently releasing the shoulder back down. If you had it up. Release that left knee back down to meet the right. Left bottom of the top of the left foot to the mat. Extend that right arm out. Back to neutral position and release the right forearm down to the ground. Let's switch sides. Okay. So we're going to extend the left arm out this time. Internally rotate that left arm so the left palm faces up. Bend that left elbow, release the back of that left hand to the lower back. Curl those right toes under, extend that right leg back. Straightening that right leg, pressing back through that right heel. Stay for an inhale. And exhale. Now you can stay here, or if you want to add your twist, you're going to gently twist as you open that left shoulder blade, lifting it to the sky. Maybe look up towards the ceiling as well. Keep pressing back through that right heel. Don't let that right pelvis drop too much. 1 more breath here. And exhale, gently release that left shoulder down. Release the right knee back down to the mat. Top of the right foot to the ground. Release that left arm straight out. Back to neutral and release the left palm to meet the right. Alright, let's press back to our child's pose. So to come into your child's pose, you're going to send your hips back towards your heels. Just go very gently. Sending your hips back towards your heels, arms out in front of you. You can let your forehead fall to the mat or to a block. Don't worry if your hips don't come all the way back to your heels. And if you ever need to, you can sit on some blocks in between your legs. If that helps, you can always, if you have like a pillow, you can put that in between. But again, don't worry if your hips don't come all the way back to your heels. So we're in our child's pose here. Arms out in front of us, palms face down, forehead to the mat. Now, if you do have a block or something under your forehead, go ahead and remove that. Place that off to the side. And now gently lift your forehead up just a couple inches so you can look and see your fingers. Now you're going to tent up on your fingertips. So your forearms and your arms are off the ground. You're now on your fingertips. Your forehead is hovering just a couple inches off the ground. From here, we're going to gently walk our fingertips and our arms over to the right. We're basically coming over to the right side of our mat. Again, try and move all as one unit, so your entire torso and your arms move as one unit. Once you're off to the right side of the mat, you're going to release your left arm down, so left palm comes down, and now right arm comes out to the side. Once it's out to the side, we're going to internally rotate that again, so that right palm faces up. Bend that right elbow, and then release that the back of the right hand to the lower back. Once you have that, if you can release your forehead to the mat, go ahead and do that. And we're just staying here for a breath in our bound child's pose. If you want to, you can try and reach that right arm a little bit farther. Maybe you can touch that left thigh, but don't worry if you're just right there on your lower back. Staying for one more breath here. And exhale. Let's straighten that right arm. Revolve back to neutral. Send that right arm to meet the left arm. Tent up on both fingertips. Release that forehead up, and let's walk over to the other side of the mat. So now we're on our fingertips, and we're walking over to the left side of the mat. Once you're there, release your right hand to the mat. Right forearm comes down. Extend that left arm out to the side. Internally rotate that left arm. Bend that left elbow, back of the left hand to the lower back. Release the forehead to the mat if you can. Staying here. Or if you'd like, you can try and walk that left hand a little bit closer. Maybe it touches that right thigh, maybe it doesn't. But either way, just stay here for one more breath. And exhale. Okay, let's straighten that left arm out to the side. Revolve it back for the palm face down. Forehead comes back up. You're going to fingertip back to center. And we're lifting back up into our tabletop. So, lifting the hips back up off the heels, coming back into our tabletop with the palms down on the mat. So we were here before. We're going to give the wrists a little bit of attention here. So we've got a couple steps that we're going to walk through with our wrists. So in traditional tabletop, you have your wrists underneath your shoulders, fingers are spread, palms face down. So that's going to be step one. Step two, we're going to come up on our fists. So step two, you're going to make a fist with both hands, and you're going to just gently press those fists on the mat with the fingers facing in towards each other. So that's step two. Step three, you're going to come to the back of the wrists. So the back of the hands come to the mat. That's step three with the fingers facing in towards each other. It'll be easier to see here. So step one, palms face down. Step two, making a fist with the fingers in. Hello, Oliver. And then step three, we're bringing the backs of the wrists to the ground. So you're just going to walk through that on your breath. Starting in your traditional tabletop, step one with the palms face down. Then you come to your fists. You can just go one at a time, and then come to the back of your wrists. Just keep alternating between those three steps. This is a great way just to give some love to your wrists. They could be often forgotten, either just through a general work day if we're all on our computers or on our phones. And even in a yoga practice, they can be neglected. So let's just give them some love. Just do one more cycle on each hand. And then meet me back in traditional tabletop. Okay, from our tabletop now, we're going to press our hips back towards our heels again, but this time our torso is going to stay up. So this is our Virasana pose with our hips back towards our heels. This can be a little too much for some people, so if you'd like, you can try putting a block, or again a pillow, in between both feet and see if you can sit up on that. Sometimes a little bit of elevation helps. Tops of the feet are still to the ground, and the knees are still hips width distance. See if you can sit like that. If that's just a little too much, even with the blocks, don't worry, you can just come back to the seat that we had before. That was our cross-legged seat. So either way, wherever you are, make sure you're nice and comfortable seated. Now place your palms at the base of your thighs, right above your knees. And we're just going to do some pelvic thrusts, I guess you could call them. So just root down your sit bones, rise up through the crown of your head, nice long spine. And we're gently going to shift the pelvis forward and shift it back. Shift it forward and back. forward and back, forward and back. Keep going on your breath, whatever speed you like. Try and isolate the movement at your pelvis and not as much as your chest, so we're not pressing our chest back and forward. We're kind of keeping that in line and just trying to move that pelvis. So keep going forward and back. Then as you keep doing that, start to decrease the speed. And what you're trying to do is just find the midpoint in between those two. So take a second or two to just find that midpoint in between, sending that pelvis forward and back. And it should be a nice, comfortable position where wherever you're sitting, you're right in the middle, rooting down through your sit bones, rising up through the crown of your head. Take an inhale here. And exhale. Sounds like Coney saying hi from a distance. Take one more inhale. And exhale. Okay, grab your strap. Thank you, Oliver. And let's place that strap over one of your shoulders. Let's start with the right shoulder. So with the strap over my right shoulder, extend both arms out. We're coming into Gomukhasana face pose, cow face pose actually. So with our arms extended out, we're going to start with this right hand, and we're going to externally rotate this right arm so the right palm faces up. Once we have that, raise that right palm up to the ceiling, bend that right elbow, and see if you can grab that strap in your right hand. We're going to do the opposite with this left arm. So we're going to internally rotate this left arm so the left palm faces forward, faces back, bend that left elbow, and then see if you can grab that strap at your lower back. So, hi Coney. So you should be able to see, I'll turn around here if that helps. So that top arm grabs the strap, bottom arm grabs the strap. Once you have the strap or your towel or whatever you're using, maybe you can walk those fingertips a little bit closer to each other. Or maybe you're here and you don't even need the strap, your fingertips can touch. Either way, wherever you are, the idea here is to root down through your sit bones, try and lift that, try and lift that top elbow up as you draw that right elbow down. Oliver is trying to help demonstrate here. I don't know if you can see him. So lifting the top elbow up and drawing that bottom elbow down. Staying for one more breath. And exhale as you gently release the strap. Release both arms out to the side and both arms down. We're going to switch to the other side. Okay, looks like my strap's no longer available, but hopefully you still have yours. So now extend both arms out, palms face down. We're coming to the other side this time. So starting with your left arm, you're going to externally rotate that left arm. Place that strap over your left shoulder if you have it. Externally rotate, raise that left arm up, bend that left elbow behind your back, grab the strap if you have it. Now your right arm, you're going to internally rotate, bend that right elbow, and grab the strap at your low back. Once you have the strap, you can try and walk those fingers in a little closer to each other. And if you don't have the strap, maybe you can touch those fingers together. Either way, once you have a nice solid connection, so you can raise that right elbow up and draw that left elbow down. Staying for just 2 breaths here. Try and shift your pelvis back if you feel like it moved forward, and breathe into those back ribs. One more breath here. And exhale, gently release the strap or the bind. Send both arms out to the side and release both arms down to the side. If you have your strap, just put it off to the side. Make sure it's available. We'll come back to that later. Okay, we're coming back to tabletop just for a moment here. So coming back to your tabletop, meet me there. So this time in tabletop, we're going to tent up on our fingertips. So just like we had tented up in our child's pose, we're tenting up on our fingertips now. So once we have that, we're going to extend our right leg back, curl those right toes under, press that right heel back. Now we're going to bend that right knee, lift the foot off the mat, right knee comes into the chest, and we're sending that right foot forward to the top of the mat. If it doesn't reach you in the first try, don't worry, just wiggle it up till it gets to the top of your mat in between both hands. Now we're going to do the same thing with that other leg. So we're going to curl those left toes under, straighten that left leg so that left knee comes off the mat. And then hug that left knee into your chest and step it up to the top of the mat. Now stay in your forward fold. So your both feet are at the top of the mat, about hips width distance. Knees can bend, and you're in your forward fold here. You can clasp opposite elbows. So right hand grabs that left elbow, left hand grabs the right, and then let your head hang heavy in between both arms. Again, knees can bend as much as you'd like here. You can stay here in stillness, or if you'd like, you can gently rock left and right. And just warming up those hamstrings and just easing out that lower back. Just try and soften your shoulder blades away from your ears. Have a nice long spine. Okay, gently start to come back to stillness in the center. Release your elbows so the arms and the head hang heavy. We're coming up to standing, but definitely take your time here. So start by pressing your feet into the mat and gently rolling up from the lower back. We're coming up one vertebrae at a time, taking your time. The head's going to be the last thing to rise up. Take your time. And once you're up here, just shrug your shoulders up and back a couple times. Okay, let's come back to the top of the mat if you're not already there. So at the top of the mat, start with your feet hips width distance, your heels behind the center toes. Feet should look nice and parallel, directly underneath your hips. Arms down at your side, palms face forward. Soften your shoulder blades away from your ears. And your gaze is forward. Take an inhale and exhale. Okay, let's move. Let's inhale as we raise our arms overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, bend the knees as much as you need to. We're forward folding. Place your hands on your shins. Inhale as you lift up into halfway lift. You're looking for a nice flat back. Exhale, bend the knees. Release your hands back down. Forward fold. We're coming back up to standing. Press your feet into the mat. Inhale as you lift your arms back up and overhead. Palms face each other. Exhale, release the hands down to the center of your chest and down to the side. Let's do that again. Inhale, arms up, palms face each other. Exhale, forward fold, knees can bend. Inhale, hands come to the shins. Nice flat back, halfway lift. And exhale, bend the knees, forward fold, releasing the hands down. Press the feet into the mat. Inhale as you lift up, back up, arms up, palms face each other. And exhale, release the hands down to the center of the chest and down to the sides. We're going to keep moving, but we're going to add on to that. So here we go. Inhale, arms up, palms face each other. Exhale, forward fold, knees can bend. Inhale, halfway lift, nice flat back, hands to the shins. And exhale, forward fold. This time in your forward fold, place your palms on the mat, your entire palms on the mat, and bend your knees as much as you need to in order to make that happen. Once you have both palms rooted, you're going to step your right leg back with the right toes curled under, drop that right knee to the ground. Then you're going to step that left leg back, and then drop that left knee to the ground. So you should be in kind of a modified tabletop with your knees more behind your hips. So now the knees aren't directly underneath the hips, they're farther back. Keep the toes curled under. And we're going to do just very gentle push-ups here. We're going to do like 1-inch push-ups. So what we're going to do is shift our torso forward, bend the elbows back, and just lower down 1 inch. Straighten the arms and shift your torso back so your shoulders are back over your wrists. Let's try that again. So we're going to bend the elbows back as we shift our torso forward, just lowering down 1 inch. And raise yourself back up, shoulders over wrists. Let's do that one more time. Bend the elbows back, shift the torso forward, lower down 1 inch. And press yourself back up, straighten the arms. Now we're going to lower all the way to the mat. So keep those toes curled under. Try to shift the torso forward, bend the elbows back, not out to the side, but back. And just gently lower your entire torso all as one piece to the ground. Take your time. So now your forehead is to the mat, your entire body is on the ground, your arms are beside your chest with the elbows facing back. Now, from here, you're going to uncurl those back toes so the tops of the feet face the mat. Press the tops of the feet into the mat, press the hips into the mat, and lift your head up and your chest up. On your next inhale, you're coming into your baby cobra. We're looking for more length rather than height here. Draw the backs of the shoulder blades together. Keep your bottom ribs on the mat and send your heart forward. Slight tuck of the chin. Take one more inhale and gently release down. Releasing the forehead to the mat. Now curl those back toes under again. Press your hands into the mat. Inhale as you lift back up into your modified tabletop. Now from here, you're going to tent up on your fingertips again. We've been here. And we're going to extend that right leg back, straighten that right leg. Bend that right knee, send it into your chest, and send that right foot up to the top of the mat. Same with the left leg. So extend that left leg back, left toes curled under, and then hop that left foot up to meet the right. So both feet are hip-width distance. From here, we're going to lift up halfway, hands to the shins. Again, flat back, looking to be parallel to the mat. And exhale, bend the knees forward, fold. We're coming all the way up to standing, pressing your feet into the mat. Lift your arms up and your chest up, arms overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right. So we're starting to get a little warmed up here. I want you now to come to the center of your mat. So we're coming into a wide-legged stance here. So in our wide-legged stance, our feet are about maybe like one leg's distance apart. Start with your feet nice and parallel. Go one leg distance apart. You can also try to measure if your arms come out to the side. If you were to drop something directly below your wrist, that's where your ankles would be. But either way, just come to a nice, comfortable position here with your legs wide. So we're going to come into goddess pose. So in order to do that, we need to actually angle our toes out. So what you can do is rotate your heels in. So your heels come in and your toes are facing out, about a 45-degree angle. Start with your hands at your hips. And remember when we did the bear pose, when we were on our mat, when we were externally rotating, our knees came away from each other. So we're going to sit our hips down. While we do that, try and externally rotate so those knees track over the ankles and they separate out. So here we go. We're going to slightly lower into our goddess. Again, knees come out. Try not to let them hang in. We're hanging them out here so that the knees track over those ankles. And you're just going to lower down to your capacity. If you feel like your feet are too close or too far, you can definitely adjust here. We're just coming into our goddess pose. Maybe you're a little bit lower, maybe you're a little bit higher. Wherever you are, stay for a breath here. Take an inhale and exhale. Okay, now release both hands to the tops of your knees. So bottoms of your shin, tops of your knees. And then you can start to send your heart forward. This might give you a little bit of break off those thighs. We're going to add a little twist here. So we're going to drop our left shoulder down and lift our right shoulder to the air. So we're adding a twist here. Staying for a breath. And exhale, gently release back to center. And let's do the opposite. So let's drop our right shoulder down, lift our left shoulder up to the sky. Maybe your low back cracks. I know mine usually does. There it goes. And gently release back to center. Let's do that one more time, each side. So we're going to drop our left shoulder down, lift our right shoulder up to the sky. And exhale, gently releasing down. Your arms are pushing those knees out. And we're switching to the other side, dropping the right shoulder down, lifting that left shoulder up. And gently releasing back to center. Bring your hands back to your hips. Gently straighten your legs as you lift your torso back up to standing. Feet come back in front and start to heel toe your feet back in to hips width distance. You can go ahead and shake those legs out a little bit. Let your arms hang down. Okay. While we're here, let's add a little side lean while we're standing. So start with your feet hips width distance again, heels behind those center toes. If you ever need help kind of deciding where like actual hips width distance is, what you can do is take both fists, bring your hands together with your fists, and just place them in between your feet. You can place them in between your feet or in between your knees. That's about hips width distance. So a little trick to help you get used to that. So with that, your feet are nice and parallel. We're going to inhale as we raise our arms up, palms face each other. Now, press down through your feet and extend through your crown of your head and lift those arms up, palms face each other. Inhale as you lift, and now we're going to lean to our right. So exhale as you start to lean. Again, try to move all as one unit here, so we're not moving our arms first and then our head. We're moving our entire torso. Our arms are just an extension of that. And we're leaning to our right. Staying for one more breath here. And inhale as you lift back up to center. Inhale as you lengthen. Let's go to the other side. Exhale as you lean to the opposite side this time. Again, try and move all as one unit, keeping your head equally in between both biceps. Staying for one more breath. And inhale as you lift back up to center. Keep both arms up, but this time release your right arm down to your side. So with your right arm down to your side, we're going to do that same lean, but now you have a little bit of extra control down here. But try and keep this left arm still beside your bicep. So inhale as you lengthen up, and exhale as you lean over that right side. So whichever arm is down, that's the way you're leaning. Staying for a breath here. And exhale as you gently release back up to center. Send both arms up. Release the left arm down to your side. Left palm faces in. Inhale as you lengthen. And exhale as you lean over one more time here. Keep firming the thighs in towards each other. And on your next inhale, lift back up to center. And exhale, release both arms down to your sides. And let's come back into that wide-legged stance. So wide-legged stance, we were here before. Now, we're going to work on our Warrior Two pose, and it's really important to break this down so we can get the most ideal kind of foot placement as we go. So, with your feet nice and wide, start with your feet parallel. So previously we had our toes facing out, but this time your toes are going to face directly forward with your heels right behind them. Place your hands on your hips. I'm going to start with my left leg here. So I'm going to externally rotate my left leg. Remember that bear sit where our left knee came out. So we're externally rotating that entire left leg. So now the left toes face forward to the top of the mat. Now our right leg, our back leg, we're going to internally rotate those toes just slightly so the toes come a little bit farther forward than the heel, just slightly. Now once you have that, you're going to bend this left knee so that it's over that left ankle. Now here's the key. We want to have heel to arch alignment. So that means the top heel, if you were to draw a line through the middle of your foot, through that top heel, it's going to intersect with the arch of that back foot. So maybe you need to wiggle your foot over a little bit to the left or the right to make that happen. Let's see if you can get that lined up. Once you have that, square your shoulders to the side, extend both arms out, palms face down, and turn just your neck to look over those left fingertips. This is your Warrior Two. Okay, we've got 8 steps of movement to go through this. 8. So this is where we start. So step 1, straighten that front leg. Step 2, bring the arms up, palms touch. Step 3, release that right arm down. Step 4, we're leaning over just like before with that left arm up. Step 5, come back up to center. Step 6, release both arms up, palms touch. Step 7, we're releasing both arms out. And step 8, re-bending that front knee. All right, can we do that again? So step 1, straighten the knee. Step 2, both arms up. Step 3, drop that right arm down. Step 4, add a nice little lean. Step 5, come back up. Step 6, both arms up. Step 7, release both arms down. And step 8, bend that left knee. Make sure that left knee tracks over that ankle. Let's do that one more time. Step 1, straighten. Step 2, both arms up. Step 3, release that right arm down. Step 4, extend that left arm up. Step 5, come back up. Step 6, both arms up. Step 7, release arms down. And step 8, bend that left knee. All right, so now we're going to add a little bind option to our next movement here. So step 1, straighten that front leg. Step 2, bring both arms up. Now, step 3, you can repeat what we just did, or if you'd like, what you're going to do is extend that right arm back, internally rotate, bend that right elbow, and bring the back of that right hand to that lower back. So just as we've done before, internally rotate, back of that right hand to the lower back. If you're comfortable, stay here, or if you want, you can maybe slide that right arm a little bit further, maybe you can touch that left thigh. Once you have that, we're going to move into step 5 as we lean over. And now I want you to bend your knee. So now you have the option. We're going to switch it up. We're going to bend that knee while we're in this pose. If you don't feel comfortable, stay there with that leg straightened. Otherwise, try and bend that knee and keep that knee tracking over that ankle. Pin that left thigh in. Stay for one more breath here. And exhale, straighten that knee. Torso comes back up. Release the bind. We'll add back to our steps. Both arms come up. Step 7, releasing both hands out to the side. Step 8, bending back into warrior 2. Whew. All right, let's release both hands back to the center of our hips and straighten that leg. Send both toes facing forward. Let's heel toe those feet back into hips with distance. All right, let's give them a little shake. How do your thighs feel before we go to the other side? All right, so we're coming back into our wide-legged stance. So wide-legged stance, starting with the toes facing forward. We're going to start by externally rotating this right leg so those right toes faces forward. Internally rotate this left leg so the left toes just slightly face forward. Then we're going to bend that right knee over that right ankle. And again, make sure you look for that heel to arch alignment. Wiggle that front foot left or right if you need to. Once you have that, square your shoulders to the side. Extend both arms out, palms face down. You can gently turn your head to look over those right fingertips. Okay, do you remember our 8 steps? Let's try. So step 1, straighten that front leg. Step 2, raise both arms up. Step 3, release that arm down. Step 4, add a nice side lean. Step 5, raise yourself back up. Step 6, both arms come up. Step 7, release both arms out to the side. And step 8, bend that right knee tracks over that right ankle. Let's do that again. 1, straighten. 2, both arms up. 3, back arm down. 4, add your side lean. 5, back up to center. 6, both arms up. 7, both arms out, palms down. And 8, right knee bends over right ankle. Okay. So we're going to do that again, but again, we have our option to bind now. So if you don't feel comfortable with the bind, just do what we've been doing. Otherwise, we're going to start by step 1, straighten that knee. Step 2, both arms come up. So now here's our option. Step 3, we're going to send our left arm out. We're going to internally rotate that arm, bend that left elbow so that back of that left hand comes to that lower back. You can stay here. If you'd like, you can send that left arm a little bit farther forward. Maybe it touches that right thigh, or maybe it stays at your low back. Now here we're going to add our side lean. So go ahead and side lean with that right arm up, creating length in the both sides of the body. And you can stay here. If you'd like, you can start to bend that right knee back over that right ankle. You can try and keep that right knee hugging to the outer edge of that right foot and pin that right thigh in. You don't want to sink out. You want to try and pin that right thigh in. Press back through that outer left foot wherever you are. Staying for one more breath. And exhale if you have the bind. Gently release that. Straighten that front leg. Lift your torso back up. Both arms come up. Release both arms out to the side, palm face down, and bend that right knee over that right ankle one last time. All right, let's bring both of our hands to our hips. Let's straighten that front leg. Right toes and left toes face forward, and heel toe those feet into hips with distance. Let's shake that out one last time. Whew. All right, let's come to a seated position. So, coming to a seated position, have your knees bent out in front of you. Now, with your knees bent out in front of you, try to have the bottoms of your feet, the entire bottoms of your feet touching the ground. So bend your knees as much as you need to in order to make that happen. Once you have that, place your hands behind you, just like in our bear sit before where our fingers were facing forward. But this time your knees and your feet are hips width distance. We're going to have a couple options for our Navasana, our boat pose. But before we do, I want you to root down through your sit bones and rise up through the crown of your head to create a nice long spine. Now, from here, you're going to wrap your hands around your knees. From here, then you're going to lift your toes up off the ground. Now, you can stay here if this is enough for you. Again, keep elongating that spine. Or if you'd like, you can start to shift your weight back to bring your heels off the mat. Maybe you can hover your heels an inch or two off the mat. So this is an option to stay here. Again, try not to round your back to compensate. Try and still extend up through the crown of your spine. Once you have that, you now have the option, if you'd like, you can lift those shins up to parallel with the mat. Again, you can stay here or wherever you are. Next option is to extend both arms forward, palms face up. Again, stay here. Try not to compromise the back by rounding. You want a nice long spine here. And then the last option here, if you'd like, you can start to straighten the legs and point the toes in your full Navasana. Otherwise, wherever you are, we're staying for 2 breaths here. Keep hugging the navel in, extending through the crown of the spine, broaden through those shoulder blades. 1 more breath. And exhale, gently release the feet back down to the mat wherever you are. Release the hands behind you, and we're gently going to roll down onto our spine. Just gently rolling back. So you're coming onto your back with your knees bent. Now, with the knees bent, place your arms down to the side and heel toe your feet out to the width of the mat. So your feet are out to the width of the mat and you're letting your knees fall into touch. So again, knees touch, feet out to the width of your mat. If your feet don't quite come out to the width of your mat, just have your knees touching first and then separate your feet out as wide as you can. Now bring your arms out to the side, both palms face up, either into a T or like a field goal shape. And we're gently going to rock the knees from side to side. So just gently rock from side to side. Just go nice and slow. The knees don't have to come all the way to the ground. We're just gently rocking. It's a really good way to just loosen up any last little bit of tension we may have in that lower back. Let's go 1 or 2 more times each side. And come back to center with the knees touching. And now, we're going to gently add a twist to this. So you're going to release both knees to the right. So just like we were rolling, we're now going to release those knees to the right. If your knees don't quite come down to the ground, you can either place a block like underneath them, or you can even place like a pillow in between, whatever works for you. Try to keep this left shoulder rooted. Your gaze is either to the ceiling, or you can turn your head to look over your left fingertips. If you'd like, you have the option to lift your top right foot and place the outer right ankle on top of that left knee. That'll kind of deepen the stretch a little bit. Should feel this in your lower back and maybe the outer edge of that left thigh. But again, you're just going to your capacity. Stay for 1 more breath here in our spinal twist. And exhale, release. Okay, if you have your right ankle on top of your left knee, just release that and gently bring both knees back up to center. And we're going to move to the opposite side. So now we're going to let both knees, keeping your feet where they are, just let both knees fall out to the left side this time. Your arms are still out to the side, palms face up in either a T or a field goal shape. And your gaze is either up towards the ceiling or over those right fingertips. You can stay here or you have the option of placing the outer edge of that left ankle on top of that right knee. And we're just here for a couple breaths and the spinal twist on this side. And one more breath here. And exhale. Gently release that left ankle from that right knee if you have it. Bring both knees back up to center. And then heel toe your feet to now back to hips width distance. Let your arms come down to the side and gently hug your knees into your chest. See if you can give them a nice squeeze, either holding on to the backs of your thighs or the backs of your shins. Give a nice squeeze of those knees into your chest. Hug your navel in and down towards the mat. Nice last little squeeze here. Stay for one more breath. And exhale as you straighten your legs, straighten your arms overhead. Last bit of stretch, extending through the body, pointing the toes away, extending the fingertips away from the toes. Last long stretch here. And exhale, gently release. Send both arms down to the side, palms face up. Legs are straight, but the knees and the feet fall out to the side. We're coming into our final pose of the evening, our Shavasana pose. And your arms are down to your side. Your palms face up. Legs are straight, knees and feet fall out to the side. Maybe your gaze starts to soften or your eyes close. In our final pose of the evening here. Just try to imagine your body melting into the mat. Releasing any last little bit of tension you may have on your toes, or your ankles, or your knees. Release any little bit in your waist, in your tummy. Maybe you soften your shoulders. Release any tension in your wrists. Ease your forehead. Release both jaws, the top from the bottom. And just breathe. Just begin to bring some awareness back into your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. And rotate your wrists and your ankles. Gently switch directions in those rotations. And come back to stillness for one last breath here. And now begin to turn on to one side of your body. Maybe gently bend your knees as you roll over to one side of your body. Let your top arm come over to meet your bottom. And rest your top knee on top of your bottom. Stay for one more breath here. Try to keep your gaze softened or your eyes closed as you press yourself up to a comfortable cross-legged seated position to complete our practice. Once you're in your cross-legged seated position, your hands can come to the tops of your knees, your palms can face up, or you can bring your palms into the center of your chest. Thank you for joining me in practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. Thank you all so much for joining me for practice this evening. It looks like this stream went off without a hitch, hopefully tonight. So I appreciate you all joining me and hope you got a lot out of this class. I hope you feel good. I mean, take this into the rest of your week. We all need it. As far as the rest of classes this week, tomorrow, typically the Wednesday class is at 7, just like every other night. But tomorrow it will actually be at 8 o'clock. So if you're planning to join class tomorrow, it will be at 8. And on Friday, we'll be back at 7 p.m. for class. If you have any questions, again, my name is Daniel. This is Daniel Lee Yoga YouTube channel. You can leave a chat here. Oh, thanks for the message. Hello, fellow Daniel. I appreciate you all. You can always email me with any questions if you'd like. All that info is in the video description. But again, just enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening, and I will see you next time in practice. Thank you so much. Peace.